Hello, I'm here with Aaron Seigo, and we just wanted to talk to him a little bit about KDE's recent changes in their branding position within the open source community. Aaron, could you give us a little bit of the background about why the changes were made and explain a little bit about sort of how KDE would like to position itself moving forward?
Sure. So when KDE first started out as a community and a project, the term KDE referred to the actual block of software that was being created. It was originally the cool desktop environment, which became the K desktop environment, and it very accurately described what was going on in the project. But then you fast forward 13, 14 years, and that's really not what's happening anymore. We've got a desktop environment, but we've also got a netbook environment, tablet environment, mobile environment. We also have a development platform, and we've also got a ton of applications. And it's not really just a desktop environment anymore. The applications run independently. They run on XFCE or GNOME or Windows or Mac. So as we are now, the whole thing came to be kind of an anachronism, right? Mm-hmm. Saying it was the KDE desktop, and then there's a KDE application. And unfortunately, that causes a lot of confusion amongst people, because they go, oh, well, if I'm wanting to run this or use this KDE application, then it must have something to do with the KDE desktop, and I need to. We unfortunately would get questions on a regular basis in IRC, things such as, can I run Krita in GNOME? Right? Krita being one of our natural media drawing apps. And of course the answer is yes. And we started to realize that even the technically hooked in, who follow us closer than anyone else, we're really having a problem understanding, how the different pieces fit together, or in this case, didn't fit together, right? That there wasn't some hard dependency there. And this just, as we did more research, it became evident this is a very, very common set of misconceptions. It didn't help that we also referred to ourselves as KDE, right? So we had KDE desktop. And if you expand that, that was what, K desktop environment, desktop, which starts to sound a little redundant. And so we can start to understand why it caused confusion. So we stepped back and said, well, how can we make this clearer? How can we make it a little more obvious what we're actually doing? So we realized that we probably should give our desktop a proper name, and that we need to give people a name to talk about our development platform. Because people just talk about, KDE's libraries, right? And then that would be confused as well with KDE desktop or the KDE apps. And it was all kind of nebulous, right? So we decided, well, what is KDE? Well, it definitely is the people and the community around it. And it also maps nicely if we look at other technology companies, say Microsoft or Apple, right? They have Microsoft, they have Apple, and underneath that they have individual brands for the product lines, right? You got Microsoft Office, which has Word, Excel, etc. You've got Apple iLife, which has a bunch of applications, and that's separate from their iPod, iPhone, iTunes, right? So they've got these product lines, Mac OS X, right? It's another product line, and it helps keep it separate, right? You know that they are related because they're all Apple products, or Microsoft products, or Oracle products, or whatever. So you know there's a relationship, but you also know that they have individual lives and purposes. So we decided to do the same thing and go, well, KDE is the people, it's the community, and we've got the Plasma Desktop, Plasma Netbook, Plasma Mobile. These are our shells, our primary user interfaces. When you first turn on the machine and log in, that's what you see. We also have all these applications. We've got a whole warehouse of applications, and they can go anywhere, and we've got a development platform. And so suddenly we can now talk without ambiguity about each of the things we do in a way that's clear and understandable as to how they do or do not relate. Complicating this, we actually release a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it twice a year right now, right? The software compilation. In the past, we used to release it about every 9 months in KDE 3. And these releases used to be called the KDE, 3.5 or whatever. And that was even more confusing because it's KDE Desktop 3.5, right? I mean, just get these long strings of KDE when you try and actually fully describe what it is. So we still have that because it's a very powerful thing. It gives us the ability to coordinate release engineering. It gives our users and our downstream distribution partners the ability to take a large, coherent set of software and package it and ship it all at once and take advantage of it as a continuous whole, right? We also have a lot of stuff that isn't in that. Amarok, K3B, Digicam, those aren't part of that big glop, the software compilation. And they're also important to us. And we didn't want to, say, well, they're second-class citizens, right? We've got the important stuff, the software compilation, we've got those other guys. No, Amarok, K3B, Digicam, some of these, they're rock stars in our environment, right, or in our world. So they deserve to be treated equally as well. But the software compilation does still happen. So it's a release engineering artifact. But it also gives us the ability once a year or twice a year to go out and talk about a number of the things that we do, which is useful for us and for our partners in the media, because they probably don't have the time and the column inches to devote a story to us every single day. So we get this nice big media burst twice a year where we talk about our development platform, our Plasma workspaces, and all the applications that are in the software compilation. And it's a bit of a challenge for us, right? Because we've spent, since we started, 97, talking about it one way, which was unfortunately a bit confusing as we evolved. And now we've got to learn new ways of talking about it. And there's going to be a transition period. So we're going to start to see in distributions, Linux distributions, for instance, when they give you a choice of what to install for the desktop environment, you'll see KDE Plasma Desktop. In articles, we're hoping that on our blogs and whatnot, we can get some consistency there, and people refer to it as KDE's Plasma Desktop, and then from there on Plasma Desktop. And when we do release announcements, we're not going to really mention software compilation because that's a technical thing. It's a release engineering artifact, and we're going to instead talk about the actual individual brands, KDE Edu, the KDE Multimedia, or Contact, right? The KDE PIM Suite, Akanadi, these actual products, because these solve actual use cases. They're things that actually the user goes, oh yeah, I like Contact because it makes it easier for me to do whatever, or I really like the Plasma Desktop because I can have the exact widgets I want. That's perfect. I love that, and I love the KDE desktop or development platform because it's a really powerful way to write applications, right? So these are things that actually have meaning to our audience, the people who use our software. So we're hoping to create consistency there, but also clarity, and start to talk about things more in terms of solving people's problems and meeting their needs a little more clearly.
All right. Thanks for helping clarify things for us.
Glad to.